we want to talk about, three different topics, compliance, planning, and traceability. So let's go into compliance, first, and see the elements that you'll find in Sage to support, compliance. So here I'm into my product master. So this is where I'll define, all my products, ingredients, finished goods, semi-finished, etc. And the same presentation again. So all the products that I have in the system, the last one that I worked on. So I'll search for a particular product that is a raisin bread through the description. Bread, and this is the one that I was after, that's cinnamon raisin bread. So my record has changed, and we'll just explore a number of the fields that are available, so that you can see the readiness of Sage for the environment that we're discussing this morning. Okay, so first of all, there's the ability to attach, a number of notes, and not just free form, but, things that can be helping me to prepare a product information form, or PIF. So here I've got a description of, I've kept a record of the allergens, and I can also keep a record of the nutritional, information for that product. In addition to that, as you can see here, I can attach, various documents. If I click on this little paperclip, I've also kept a record of the front label, which is also, sometimes part of the requirements that you have to, comply with. So with Sage, you keep everything in the same spot. So if they're all, linked and, connected together. Let's explore, a couple more things. So if I go into this tab here, obviously, the bare minimum is lot, or batch control, management. And this is all supported here. It even goes to, lot and sublot, level. Moving further down, I can see here that it's going to keep a record of the allergen, content of my product. And what it does, it has a look at all the ingredients and rolls that up. So here we're talking about a finished product in my cinnamon raisin bread. And the various ingredients, that I've put in there, have given me a qualification saying that I'm using E for egg, and W for wheat, for instance, and M, for milk. So I'll know exactly, how to classify, this particular product just by, rolling up the ingredients. A whole section here on control, recontrol and expiration. So I want to be able to figure out, what use by date I can have on my finished product. I can also put information in there to make sure that I control my ingredients on a regular basis. Maybe they need to be, the quality controlled every 2 months. Maybe they lose their potency, or maybe they're no longer suitable. So all that is going to be driven, by this section found here. Talking about, expiration. So here I've got a use by date, of within 30 days. Maybe not all my customers, are happy, with that. Maybe they'll impose on me a minimum shelf life. So here I've got, 2 different customers, and the first customer wants to have, 24 days of, shelf life, and the second one here wants 18 days. So you can see that you can modulate this expiry, and obviously as you process orders, the system will direct the picking as you're preparing the order for dispatch to the one with the appropriate shelf life. Going a little bit further and exploring, quality control. So here and you can vary that, site, by site, or production site by production site. So here I've got a flag that will allow me to say, for this particular product, I would like to do, to run quality control. And if I'm running quality control, what technical sheets or critical control points am I going to put against this particular product? So here with Sage, it's always possible to delve into more details and drill down. So if I open this little door here, it will tell me that this critical control point is actually made of two questions. One is the moisture content, and the other one is a temperature. And I can insert these critical control points at various stages in my production process. Okay, so that's to give you an idea of the background information to support some of the constraints that I put on you in terms of quality control and handling of products. Let's go now into planning. So there's two aspects of in planning. One is material, ingredient planning, and there's also capacity planning in terms of your production. So the screen that I'm showing now will help me determine what I need to order and when. So we're really talking here about a time phase reordering, so that there's things that you need to act upon now that will tell you and will take into consideration your supplier's lead times. But there might be things that you'll be informed of, and you still have time, so you don't, no need to raise purchase orders right now. So I'll just go into criteria to narrow down my search to food products, and the screen that we'll see is going to give me a list of everything that the system knows. So in order to determine what needs to be reordered, you have to take into consideration a number of things. You have to take into consideration what you have on stock today, on hand today, what you have already on purchase orders that are likely to arrive within the next few weeks. You also have to look at the production that you have currently in progress, and forecasts as well. So you can use the system to model what the demand is going to be in weeks and months to come, and the system will come up with recommendations. So that's what you see here. You can see there's a number of supply orders. Maybe I've got a multi warehouse environment, and my satellite warehouses are putting demand on me. So there's a transfer request here, and then the system is, and there's also firm work orders. And then there's a number of things that will have the mark, here as suggested. If I go to the second page, so there's a number of things here. We suggest that you make, this particular product or semi-finished product. The system is suggesting you should be ordering, some labels. For instance, you should be ordering some boxes. And every time it will take into consideration the lead time. You can see that here in that canola oil, where we need it on the 18th, and the system will compute the date backwards to say, well, you need to place the order on the 3rd if you want to have that on the 18th. So this is basically to help you determine what needs to happen. And let's have a look at this oil, for instance. And what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to execute the plan. So I could say I'd like to raise that order for that oil, and it's suggesting the quantity, and I can change that quantity obviously. Or if I happen to be ordering several things from the same supplier, it will allow me to group. So I can say I want all the products, from this supplier. So I'm going to eliminate, the preload, the table, and it will, show me all the products that I need. I happen to be buying, other things, from that particular supplier. So whilst I'm at it, it will suggest. So I can select or remove, depending on the dates that this is needed by. I can also have a look if it's something that is bulky. I can determine or ask the system to help me with container loading and see how many containers I would need. So it looks like in a 20-foot container, I'd be able to put all that. I've got a little bit of space here left, so that means that I'd be able maybe to order a few more things if I wanted to make use of of the space. So I just wanted to show a quicker view as well. So obviously the first screen that I was showing, if I'm the purchasing manager, I probably only want to see the purchase order suggestions, and that's what I would see here. So it's no longer mixed with customer orders, etc. It only says this is what you need to purchase. If on the other hand, I'm the production manager, I'm interested in work order suggestions, and again, I'll have only that on the screen, and I can make decisions as to when I'm going to execute that and put that into production. The other aspect of planning, so it looks like I've got a handle on my ingredients here, is the actual production lines and the scheduling that happens there. So if I just ask for the plan here, so what it's doing, it's going back into all my work orders that I might have placed, and it will come up with a best suggestion depending on the resources that are in place. And this is an example. Here, for instance, I've got all my resources here. So I've got an oven, I've got food preparation operators, and it will put the various steps to get to the finished product. Just a connection to what we just discussed in terms of product availability. This little diamond here means that the the products, the ingredients, will be available at that particular time. Okay, so I can use this. There's a number of ways that we can use this production scheduler. So there's an order for Coles, an order for JB Lee Gourmet Foods, and I can see what's happening here. There's also some indicators here. So this little thing tells me that this was the anticipated finish time. So it looks like I'm a little bit ahead of time. And just to make my life easier, the tool can also tell me which orders are late and which orders are likely to be on time or ahead of time. So I can see I've got a green light here, so everything is fine. This one was meant to be here, and it's going to be delayed a little bit, so I can take corrective action if I need to. This tool is not only for production people, so production people can have a look on a tablet on the floor. They can very well, if I'm working at the in the oven section, I can see that these are the two next orders that I'm meant to be working on, so I can eliminate a bit of paper here. I can also have my customer service people looking at it from a customer point of view. Where is the Coles order at? Or it looks like it's going to be a little bit late, but not not too much. What about the next one? Etc. So again, this tool is can be utilized in different departments in your organization. Okay. The last aspect was traceability. So let's have a look at that. So we are using a number of ingredients. We put together finished goods, and all that is meant to have batch or lots, lot numbers, expiry dates, etc. And I want in the next couple of seconds I want to demonstrate what's going to happen in terms of traceability. What if I want to look at some information in terms of a finished product and see where it's been sold, if I need to take corrective action, or what if I want to investigate a particular ingredient, starting from a finished product, going back and see where that ingredient has been used in other productions. So I'm going to have a look at a particular lot here, and I'm going to ask the system to tell me everything about that cinnamon raisin bread, sorry, and this particular lot. So it's retrieving everything that has happened to it. I'll enlarge that so we can see a little bit more. And there's a lot of information on this screen, as you can notice. The first thing it said, well, it's been sold, and these are the quantities: 5,920, 1,910 to these two customers. So this is where the product, the finished product, ended. And below that, you can see an explosion, or you can collapse or expand, and you can see ingredient by ingredient what has happened to that led to that particular raisin bread to be produced that day. So I can have look at everything. I can see that the ingredients have been issued to work orders, etc. I'll just have a look at something in particular I'd like to see. So you can see here, in addition to products having been issued to work orders, I can also see my quality control records as well. So that particular flour was subjected to a quality control. I'll pick this one here, and I want to see what has happened. So I can again drill down into more details, have a look at what happened, what were the results. I'm having a doubt about that particular flour. When we put it through quality control, what happened? And I can see when it was done, and what was the expiry date. I can have a look at the history. So there were two questions. The first one was answered by yes. The second one was answered by 415. I can have a look at what it was. So the first one was, did we have raw material certification? Yes, no. And what was the moisture content, at the time? So satisfied that, I had done the proper quality control, I still wanted to have a look at where else this particular flour had been used. So I know that's been used in this particular lot, but where else, did it get used? So I can open that little window here and say downstream, traceability, and suddenly I have everything that happened to that particular flour. So I can see that it's been used on this particular work order. There was some quality control, issues. I can see where I got it from, because originally I received it from, one or several suppliers, and I can see that this particular lot, comes from, these people. So once again, we've been able to navigate through, the various steps that led me to my finished product, and investigate, very easily all the ingredients back and forth. So what we've been able to do in a few minutes is, just to to demonstrate the abilities of Sage in the food and beverage environment. So you can see that there's it's been designed for that environment, from a from compliance point of view, then from a planning point of view, looking at having the right ingredients on time, and also having the capacity to produce in order to guarantee, a level of customer satisfaction with your customers, and finally, with traceability. One last thing that I wanted to show is, and something that Brett was mentioning, before. So what we just saw is the day-to-day operation, the must-have, for a food and beverage, operation. All that needs to be in place. If we take, a step up a little bit, is an ERP system is also there to help you manage the business. So what we're showing here is a level of, business intelligence, looking at a number of things in your business and helping you, make decisions. So it's looking at, performance indicators such as, order fulfillment. Was I on time? What was the quality like? So what we're, the impact on lead times, what we're, keeping an eye on production cost as well. What is late, what is, ahead of time. So Sage is also capable of, providing you with that layer of decision making.